as much as the UK is going in like an authoritarian direction, we have so much more freedom than a lot of other countries.
Oh, yeah.
Like when I've spoken to journalists from Russia and they've told me that they've had like people try and kill them because they've said something, and I'm just like, I could literally write an article being like, Boris Johnson is a sex trafficker and he kills little babies. No one wouldn't come
Might get
knocking on my
banned from
door.
Twitter.
No, I get banned. I probably might get like someone might try to sue me for defamation, but I'm not getting killed. No one's gonna try poison me. They're not gonna torture me. Do you know what I mean? Like it's crazy. Like it's really, really crazy. So like I'm grateful for the levels of freedom we have in this country, but I feel like a lot of people take them for granted, and that's why they're not taking things like the policing bill or the Official Secrets Act and all of the bills that are being pushed through Parliament. They're not taking them as seriously because they're just like, oh, it can't mean anything that bad.
Yeah, that's the problem as well. Like, 'cause I try to have these conversations with people about it, and half of the fucking problem, right, is when you start mentioning the word freedom, then people automatically, like, some half the time people's like head goes like to click as if I'm some like free market pure libertarian, like, you know, like, come on, America, freedom, like that's what the word like is associated with in a lot of people's heads. So you have to like explain, be like, no, right, I'm not insane, right? I'm not like someone who believes the Wild West needs to come again. Like, because that's what a lot of the libertarians want, you know. Like, fair enough, fair play them. That's their goal. But you know, but half the time it's like we have to realize that the freedoms that we've had are the reason that Britain is like one of the most like diverse, open, accepting societies in the world, like in world history as well. Like,
and one of the countries everyone wants to live in.
Yeah.
Because of how we have been, and
regardless of all the other flaws.
Yeah. And the thing is, in the direction that we're going in, I feel like it's not going to be a place. One, it's going to be difficult to live in. And two, I don't feel like people are going to want to come and live here anymore because it's just like, well, I can't speak my mind. There's no freedom of speech. Okay, might as well just stay where I'm living.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be any different. It's ridiculous. My best way of trying to make people understand how bad like the policing bill is, for example, is telling them that if you punch a police officer in the face, you're getting 10 years in prison. Because that's one of the things that's under the bill. And that's
10 years.
Yeah, 10 years. It's crazy. You get 10 years also for the Colston 4. If that happened while the policing bill was pushed through, they would have got 10 years.
That's tough. What would they have got now, say they'd been convicted?
I'm not sure. It would have been like a couple of months or something.
Yeah.
Surely it wouldn't have been anything like that.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Because it was like, because
collectively, I feel like it might have been like maybe 4 years or something like that between the lot of them, but it wouldn't have been more than a couple of months. To be honest with you, though, that was a very surprising turnabout. I didn't think that they were gonna be found.
Really?
Well, like I did because it's the jury, but like actually no. Do you know what? Because they're trying to appeal it anyways. They're trying to appeal the. I was gonna say I didn't think the government was gonna let it happen, but then I've just answered my own question because they are definitely trying to overturn the decision.
Well, I mean, like that was a weird one for me because I'm like, you know, people do we want your own city. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you don't want that statue there, that's fine. Part of me is also like, it's technically criminal damage. But like, it's like, oh, you know, it's your city, go for it. And I was pleased to see the court decide that they weren't gonna like convict people for it. And the thing that was like the most hilarious was all the people who are normally like, well, you know, the British courts and you know, the legal system of the world, and then all of a sudden
They were just like, we love you.
Yeah, and then like fucking like Jacob Rees-Mogg and stuff, all of a sudden he's like, oh well, the jury's wrong, you know, the legal system is just defunct and it doesn't work. And
Yeah.
it's just, what?
No, I saw a tweet that said something like, funny how all of the politicians that say you can't just overrule a decision because you don't like it are now trying to overrule a decision because they don't like it. And I was like, yep, sucks to be you. But do you know what? One thing I respect all four of those people for is they did that shit with their chest. They were like, yep, we did this. They did not deny it at any moment. They were like, yep, I did it. I threw it in the water. Like, please do what you want with me. And I feel like that is a really good message to send out to people because I feel like a lot of the time, people who aren't necessarily as involved in like activism or stuff like that, they kind of just go by law and they think that whatever the law is what's moral or is the right thing to do. And that's so not the case. Like, realistically, racism and homophobia used to be legal. Do you know what I mean? So if you're going by law, a lot of the things you're doing wrong. So I feel like doing something that you think is morally correct, which is what they did by toppling the statue that was a slave trader, kind of reinforces in people's heads the idea that, like, look, if you think something's morally correct to do, just do it. It doesn't matter what the law says. I feel like that's not a good message to send out to murderers, but
to all the murderers listening right now, don't do that.
that was not a message for you. It's not a message for you.
But you're right. I think and I think that's ultimately how like a lot of laws change over time.
Yeah, you just have to show people that it's wrong. Like, for example, one thing that I think is sorry, just to speak on British law because we've picked up on it. By definition, in British law, a woman cannot rape a man. Mm-hmm. Because in order to rape someone, you have to have a penis attached to your body. Yeah. It sounds like it's just going left, but I've had a point.
No, that's right.
Right, so
I remember I did law.
You can't. So you've by law can't rape someone if you're a woman, which automatically means when you get charged, even if you rape someone, because you could still rape a man. Realistically, it doesn't matter as long as you're penetrating someone, it's rape. So even if the man was now to take the woman to court and be like, yep, she raped me, she automatically gets less time because she's being charged with sexual assault rather than rape, which automatically diminishes the seriousness of her crime, because sexual assault and rape is like here, sexual assault is like here. It's like sexual assault could be slapping someone on the ass. So a woman automatically gets less time, even if the crime is just as horrific, if not worse, because you've actually had to attach something else to yourself to then go and commit the crime. So I use that.
Maybe we need to like find some like dildo manufacturer, right? And we need to go to Parliament and just let them experience what it would be like.
like that episode of Black Mirror when he has to fuck the pig.
Oh fuck yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel like they do, because sometimes you're setting a law and it's like, why do you think that just because something's plastic, do you know what I mean? It's the same thing. And I use that as an example to when people are like, oh, but it's illegal. I'm like, it doesn't fucking matter. Do you think the law defines everything that's right and wrong? No, it doesn't. If the law is telling me that just because I use the dildo to rape someone, it's not rape, the law's not correct.
Yeah. I mean, and there's a lot of cases like that. And I don't know.
There's so many things, but that's just like one thing that is just plain and simple wrong. But the British law has so many loopholes in it as well that you just, one thing it doesn't have loopholes for is poor people. If you're poor, you're going to jail one way or another, especially with the fucking laws they're putting in now.
Yeah, it does concern me, like this, the idea, like even the conception that they think it's all right to criminalize protest. It's just like, what? Fuck you.
What am I meant to do?
Actually, fuck you.
Your automatic reaction to that is to protest.
Yeah.
Like, someone tells you can't protest, you're like, fuck it, I'm going to protest against you telling me not to protest. And then what do you do? What am I meant to do?
Yeah.
Boycott.
Yeah.
Sit outside and be like, I'm boycotting you. That's still a protest.
Yeah. And people are like very quiet on it, on a lot of like the like military sort of style police state that's been like welcomed in a lot of places, like under the guise of like, dealing with an actual crisis. But they like, for example, I remember there was that protest in Australia where they were stood outside, I cannot remember what building it was, and they started firing rubber bullets at the peaceful protesters. And I was like, people, you do not get it. This is, and I've come from a country where there has been fucking military violence against the population, right? I'm aware of what that does to a country. And like, they are one fucking step from Bloody Sunday.
No, literally.
All they had to do was load the guns differently. That's it. Yeah. And it's like, you don't, like, I can't get in my head around why people think that that's not horrifying.
Yeah, I just feel like people aren't grasping this. One, I don't think they're grasping the seriousness of what specifically the crimes, police and sentencing bill is. But also, I don't think that, do you know what? I think it's a thing of people, a lot of people, protest for what they want to protest for, which means they don't often protest. So someone being like, oh, you can't protest, they're just like, oh, sorry, I only protest like once every 5 years anyways. But not realizing that when those laws come into place, they're going to try and push through a bunch of other laws that you're not going to agree with, and you're not going to be able to protest against those. So it's cool, you might not be a protester, but you will be once they get rid of your right to protest, because they're going to do stuff to annoy you. And then the other thing that with that bill is, like I mentioned previously, I feel like there's been, like, look over there, like you said earlier, there's been so many distraction tactics over this bill being pushed forward that there's scandal after scandal that people are just like, oh, people forget about it.
Yeah.
People
It's a
forget
lot to
about
deal
it.
with.
Like putting a law, making a bill at law takes a long time. Like you've got to put it through Parliament once, twice, and then put it through to the House of Lords. Takes a lot. So for a regular person to have to follow something like that, you're going to hear about the law once, and you're going to be like, oh, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Think it's gone.
Yeah.
And then next thing you hear about it, it's actual law, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. But right, do you know what the worst bit about that whole scenario is? Like, you're totally right. People would but people never had the time really to sit and look at these things in depth. Like, the average person doesn't have the fucking time. They are dealing with their wife or their husband or their kids or like their mother or their uncle or like their job or like people have lives to deal with, right? We can't all be watching fucking Parliament 24/7 as to what they're doing. And the media and the journalists who fucking abdicated all responsibility over the past like 10 years were meant to be the people who represented the thoughts of like the rest of us. They were meant to sit there and like if Boris Johnson came out and went, well, right, we're going to criminalize protest. Like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that entire press corps would have been like, whoa, hang on. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, where's this coming from?
Yeah.
Now all they do is sit and listen and then report on the front page being like, Boris Johnson criminalising protests. We don't know why. We don't know for when. We don't know shit. We just find it out as he says it. Because I've said this time and time again, the corporate media or mainstream media, whatever you want to call them, they're just a mouthpiece for the government. That's all they act as. They don't hold them to account. There's no scrutiny involved, anything of the sort. And that's what makes it so much worse. Even now with all the scandals that Boris Johnson is going through, the media is now trying to be like, oh, fuck that guy. Or like even all the headlines in the newspapers, they're like, oh, Boris Johnson this, Boris Johnson that. But he is a product of what they created.
Yeah.
They literally helped this man become the mess he is now by letting him lie time and time again, helping him get into power in the first place by absolutely smearing Jeremy Corbyn. And now, because he's royally fucked up and pissed off the Queen, everyone's like, we don't want nothing to do with him. But it's like, as much as Boris Johnson is at the forefront of all of this bullshit, it takes more than one person to create a mess this fucked. And the media has a huge role to play in it. Especially if you're going to allow the leader of our country to feed you lies, and then what you do is you continue to feed us lies. You have a duty to the public to deliver us accurate and honest information. So if you're just delivering us lies, you're not. Your duty's not to us. Your duty's to the government. And then that's when it's like, that's when it makes it more like a authoritarian system to live in, because in Russia it's basically the same thing. Russian news agencies don't really report anything apart from what Putin says. Same for in Poland recently. They've introduced a new law, so foreign investments in media companies aren't allowed. So any media company existing in Poland is owned by the Polish government. So all other media companies had to shut down because they had like one of them, it was specifically directed at one media station because they had investment from the US and they were the only ones that challenged the Polish government. They completely had to get scrapped because a new law got pushed through. So I feel like the media and Boris Johnson go hand in hand in what they've done. Because the media might not be responsible for what he's done or doesn't have any direct power to influence what he's done, but they've got a fuckload of power in making someone resign. Yeah. Listen, if you put enough bad reports about someone, you can lead to suicide. You think if the BBC and every single corporate media in this country put out a bad report forcing Boris Johnson to resign, you think he wouldn't be crumbling in his bedroom, crying and be like, I gotta resign.
Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment for us in the comments below. Let me know what you thought and if you'd like to see more of this from the show. Thank you, and we'll see you again next time.